One of the things that we're getting from this morning's conference. This morning conference was about the energy crisis, the price of oil. The afternoon conference, which started about 4 o'clock, 4:30. They were talking about one of the American delegates. I wasn't told who exactly it was talking about the the concern that the American citizens have had with the housing prices going down. So they're not investing that money. So what they needed to do is they needed to create the illusion that everything is going well. So what they're going to do over the next year and a half is to bring the market back up to 1998, 1999 levels. They're going to get all the suckers to invest whatever little money they have left over, and that's when they're going to make the economy bottom drop out. They need to destroy the economy because as we're running out of oil, when people don't travel, at least that's what they're saying, when people don't travel, when people don't have money, they don't travel, they spend any money, which means you don't waste a lot of oil and natural gas. That's actually the two people who are members of the Bilderberg Club.
It's actual members that are.
They're members of the Bilderberg Club who, for years and years and years, have been going and participating in all the conversations. They've always been dead on, always. And last year they said the oil prices are going to go up to 150. At the time it was 39. Went up to 76. Yeah. Basically doubled. If it doubles again, it's going to be back to where these people.
If they attack Iran, it will at 150.
Well, the Iran thing is on the back burner. It was very much on the agenda last year, but from what I'm getting at this year's lunch, today's lunch, and a few people playing golf, Iran is definitely sour, and they're not exactly sure how to do this thing. There's just too many consequences, too many repercussions. Anyway,
but they told them no. I mean, they said don't attack Iraq. Half of them back in.
Well, I think it's different. I think the neocons. I think the Bush administration is not in the same position as they were 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
As they are now. So the whole point is that
28% approval rating. Yeah.
We still have 2 days of Bilderberg conference because it started late, a day late. It's going to go on until Sunday afternoon. I think it's going to go Sunday morning. Still going to have discussing something. Anyway, it's on all day tomorrow. So we'll find out a lot more about what they're going to be talking about tomorrow. The first item on the agenda is Eurasia, Russia, China, and the relation that the Russians and the Chinese have with the Americans. That's the first item on the agenda first thing in the morning, and that's that discussion forum will be led by Richard Colonel.
The New World Order, as we're seeing it evolve, is exactly the opposite of what our founding fathers intended by developing the Constitution, the tripart form of government where you have division of powers between the legislative, judicial, and executive branches. When our founding fathers established the Constitution of the United States, they intended to have the local government as being the superior government over the state government and the federal government. Unfortunately, over the last 50 years, the reverse has occurred. Now we have an all-powerful federal government. Jefferson said when that happens, we will have a tyranny that is far worse than the one that they had just separated, which was, of course, England. We now have a government basically that is a tyrannical form of government in the federal government. It will become more so in the future because they have no accountability to the actual local person. The reason why we had local government as being the most powerful government in our Constitution was the fact that these were people that were being elected by the people over which they had jurisdiction. Now we have jurisdiction by bureaucracy at the federal level that has no accountability whatsoever to the local person. And that will always result in tyranny eventually.
Bilderberg's ultimate goal is a world government, for the United Nations to evolve into a world government, and they're making progress, and we must stop that progress. The fact that the UN is now the standing army of, the NATO is now the standing army of the United Nations that was established at the 50th anniversary celebration of NATO, pending before the UN for at least 3 years now, is legislation to impose a direct tax on all the people on Earth, their favorite being a 10-cent tax on barrel of oil head, but it was established the precedent of the UN directly taxing individuals throughout the world. And, of course, the American Union, the NATO is to expand throughout the Western Hemisphere, evolve into the American Union. The dollar will be the euro, and already the groundwork is being laid for the Asian Pacific Union. The goal is to divide the world into 3 great regions for the administrative convenience of a world government, which the UN will become in our lifetime unless we win this fight.
I think that their plans are not coming together as quickly as they would have liked and would have hoped. For example, their idea for breakup of Canada, the initial plan was for 1996. We stopped them because we found out what their plan was. That was in King City and Toronto. Hundreds of thousands of people came out onto the street protesting the possible breakup. So these people postponed their plans to the year 2000. Now they have postponed them to the year 2007. The United States and Canada more or less are one nation now, because you have the military code sharing. So the United States and Canadian military basically are working on the same wavelength.
Congress has already been signing its authority over to international bodies, and the World Trade Organization already has more authority over our trade disputes than our own Congress. Can you speak to that? It's already happening.
Well, yes, the WTO has ordered Congress to change some of the trade laws, and Congress comes running back like a political child and follows orders.
We are adapting our Supreme Court, our Constitution, to fit within this legal model of the world. We are being homogenized into the world. Our military is being homogenized and standardized into the world format. Everything that's happening through NATO and all the rest. NATO is the military branch of the European Union. We're going to have one here for the North American Union to enforce our borders, supposedly. The ASEAN, or the No Asian Union, will have another, and so forth. This is going to be, within a couple of years, it looks like, standardized all around the world.
If you really look at the world, up until the Renaissance, which you had basically had the feudal society with the slaves and the slave owners, then suddenly with the Renaissance, the ideals of Socrates, the ideals of Solon took forth, and if we kind of jump forward to the reign of Louis the 11th and the Henry the 7th in England, these people, for the first time in the history of mankind, the ideals of nation state, which defines the United States, the idea of the government working for the people, not people working for the government, the idea of the social good, of greater good for humanity, came about. And if we jump to the 1760s, in Europe, the European intelligentsia, the people like Bailly and Lafayette, they realized that to destroy, the old world order, to destroy the European monarchy, what they needed to do, they needed to create a state. And that's what the idea of the United States came from. This Eden on earth of a nation where every man and woman were created equal. You had the freedom of speech, where you had, for the first time in the history of mankind, the ideal of a nation state, of people, of governments working for the people, and not people working for the governments. And so these people like Lafayette and Bailly and other European intellectuals and thinkers, they've built themselves around the figure of Benjamin Franklin in the United States. And through this man, the idea was to create the Constitution of the United States and then import that Constitution back into Europe and use that Constitution to destroy the old world order, which was basically the old order led by the royalty of European nations. Now, the British East Indian Company, led at the time by Lord Shelburne, who was basically the treasurer of the royal family, and the man who ran the Committee of 300, the Council of 300 was called at the time, realized that they were looking at a very, very grave crisis. So what they wanted to do, what they needed to do, they needed to destroy the idea of the United States as a nation. That's where the idea of the American Revolution came about. Now, thankfully, the Committee of the Council of 300, they lost that revolution. But what they tried to do, and they were able to succeed, is they by forcing the French Revolution, they destroyed the concept of nation state. And we had to wait until after Napoleon III, and then we had to jump to the age of the Fifth Republic of de Gaulle until we finally saw that nation state building that the United States was built on.